Hey everybody, thank you. Good. Hey, probably makes me look like Ghost on the video. Apart from natural. Yes, I'm still the same person though, and the same experiences, where the real quality and substance always counts. Let's get started here. Hey, so if you look back, 1960, through the various dates, let me explain here right off the bat to bring this current. I did 1960 through 1985 as an original. That's important to clarify on the current status. As I clarify, you would see on the second set, I got emotional. And I clarified what happened there. That's the reason I did two sets of videos. That is completely relevant to today. It has nothing to do with that time period. I have never been a person that would act irrationally related to that period. That was completely irrelevant to anything from a year or two old or even 9. Or it has nothing to do. That would pick up in 1986. Okay? That's why I'm explaining there's so many videos there. Normally that was original 1960 through 1985 be irrelevant. I'm really pushing for time, so I wasn't able to clarify that. So I included them. Okay? So what you see there in 1969 and then another day where I really let loose, I mean, I haven't cried in long time, and I am referring not to 9 years old or whatever, 8 years old, completely irrelevant. It has nothing to do with that. I explained it on the second one. It's professional management, the highest level of honesty, integrity. That's all I know. That picks up relevant to the experience of 1986 forward. Now, also, it does include the general background I come from, because I've only experienced the highest level of honesty, integrity, and the healthiest context. That's all I know. Thoroughly honest. Okay, that's why there's two sets. Now you're going to see me, go to a date range, and I'm going to come back again and repeat it, but I'm doing it chronologically, keeping that index. Very important. There's no disorganization in that. That's the way I'm trying to clarify as accurately as I know. This is a whole lifetime I'm sharing with you here. And so I would say that's normal because the chronological format. And now I'm doing the final 2012, and I'm reflecting with two separate periods. I'm going to refer to current day and that time period specifically, and I'm going to do the very best I can this time to really clarify it. If I become, there's things that are foreign to me, things I don't know about yet. I don't understand. I don't know the difference of what's true all my life and that specific period and current. Okay? So if that happens, I'm clarifying that right off the bat. I am fully aware of what I have learned about myself. And I have to say, I am extremely fortunate, the background I come from. Obviously, very unique. Compared to where I am now, I have learned quite a bit difference of what unique comprises of. Okay? I've never experienced that before. Never. Never. Not to the depth of what I'm about to explain to you about. So, I'm actually referring to two different incorporated norms. I like to refer actually to three. What's true about my background, where everyone's in agreement with the same substance. Okay? Maybe I should include not two, but three different. The 3 would be what is true for in fully agreement with the general environment. All of that, Lake County, the Chicagoland North Shore, all of that. That'll be the first one. Then there's this area where I am now relocated, and then there's present day. Okay, in those time ranges, let me clarify that to make sure it's absolutely understood. I'm including the time range of what I've always experienced in relationship to other people in the area I came from up for 42 years, and what everyone's in agreement with. Okay, then I'm going to include out here in Alabama and what the agreement is in this respect. And then I'm going to put it in current day form. Now, let me mention, further clarify that, the second and third. Okay? What is an agreement out here as an incorporated norm? That's going to be easier, okay, to do it 3 ways. Incorporated norm, where I come from, that's not just me. That's everything. That area that I come from, this area in agreement, and today in present day form. Good, thank you. I come from an area that's one of the most desirable areas of the country to gain experience and live. And what is true about me, as I've stated, I'm fully aware, not what I thought, what I learned from other people. That's the way I am. That's the way I learned. If there was anything that was irrelevant or where I got a repeated response, I would definitely be aware of it immediately. Not that I'm not aware of it. I'm fully aware of it. I would take that very seriously. Now, one person or 2 people you can't rely on, but with, I mean, I'm very much aware of intrapersonal development of myself at really the highest level. That I was fortunate to validate 100%. From 1986 through 2001, I got myself in a situation, I understand, I'm extremely fortunate. I got myself in a unique situation of one of the most successful, I don't know relative to the rest of the country, but I'm going to guarantee you that area where I gained experience in business, I understand that experience is invaluable. Without any question. Fully validated in present day context too. Okay? So I'm relying on that, not what I believe. That would be a big mistake, because if you believed one thing and nobody else did. But the area I come in is fully in agreement. And fortunately, I can return back to what is agreement up there, and I can come down to agreement down here and discern the difference between the two. Okay? My understanding is I am someone who was very fortunate to gain some very unique, valuable experience, very valuable. Valuable enough, if you put me in the same setting, it would be a repeat very quickly. Unless you had that experience, that wouldn't occur. Okay? That experience is invaluable. I am someone with that experience, with that incorporated norm. I understand clearly the perception is accurate. Never. I've never deviated from the norm. So no matter where I go, especially if you're talking about a large population base of a couple of million people, that's big, absolutely no difference. And so I understand I am a definite business professional, that the education would be irrelevant, and it's that experience that puts me ahead of most people. regardless of how unique. Let me touch upon something here, which I never experienced this up north, but I have experienced it down here. So let me conclude, just 1986 through 2001, I am being thoroughly honest. That was impressed a couple of times what I have earlier mentioned about the most demanding clientele practically in the nation. They highly value the highest level of honesty and integrity in the healthiest context. I'm used to them verbally contacting me and meeting them at their house because of my makeup and who I am. I understand business practices, business ethics, to take exactly relevant substance in exactly that context. And my nature, as I've just described in the last video, tends to be someone just that is somewhat sacrificial in that nature. That's just me. Normal in all aspects. Every aspect in development is normal that way. That's just me. Maybe it is common up there because people are well-to-do and they want to share it and give it away. I don't know. Maybe that's... I certainly don't use the social sciences in any way. I prefer to stay away from them. You already know that about me very well. I know all of them. Probably up to bachelor's, master's. I've done a lot of research over the years, researching them. I don't have a degree, but certainly for someone who builds on curiosity, absolutely, very high level. I fully understand the social sciences. In any event, they called me out, checking out for honesty, integrity, and the request I made, they perceived that I exceeded it. Now remember, this is a top business management environment with professionals in that field. And they truly did tell me exactly, I promise you, if I'm put in that exact setting, I'm going to well exceed their expectations. And in return, I understand, they never came out and said EQ, but I understand out of everyone that they interacted with, they let me clearly know the wide diversification of all the experience they've had. I'm one that really stood out. I thanked them. I said, hey, thanks. That would have been my reaction. And in return, and I'm going to be careful to say the absolute most successful, but I'm going to say absolutely. What you can do the research on Lake Forest, where 50% of that work was. And it's Lake Forest Graduate School of Management. I met with many of them throughout the Chicagoland North Shore. A couple of thousand times. That was constantly repeated. Many times during that couple of thousand. It was a high percentage. In return, not all of them, but many of them came back and wanted me to give me a hand to create success. They gave it to me. They shared all the components of the most solid business practices, creating success, setting apart from competition, a long-term investment, all of it. That was repeated many times, many times. They actually wanted to give me a hand to create success. I was able to gain some very unique, valuable business experience. What I understand now, it is actually emotional intelligence at an exceptionally high level. Very few people, very few, will ever gain that type of experience. You can gain it educationally and based on theory, but to actually get the real world experience, I have just about a decade of that. I can fully substantiate, even though I've only kept 1/4 to 0.5% of those original records. Again, how many of those Manila earlier? 100% honest. I wish I retained all those records. I'm sure those were invaluable, and I threw them out. But I did retain just enough to fully substantiate what I've just communicated. When I reflected with human resource consultants and others, absolutely, that's top experience. That is someone who literally can be put right back in that same setting today, and they'll adapt to that area very quickly and create success. They have the potential to pull themselves out of no matter how challenging the situation. That's me. That will always be true about me. And I'm all ready to continue on with that. I come from a very successful background, and it's fully ingrained in me. That career is exceedingly important. The money and materialism makes absolutely no difference. Those are the people that I'm highly experienced with, creating success. It's unique the way it happened, because most people that gain it educationally, or they gain it on a job. And with me, I was able to get in a situation that very few people are going to be fortunate enough to gain that experience. And no matter where I go and who I relate that to, I believe everyone's going to be in agreement in that respect. I am definitely a business professional with a piece of cake. Should have very easily continued on with a successful career, no matter where I go, unless I'm in a farming town. But I mean, you're talking about what I'm referring to exists all over in large population bases. It's a piece of cake for me to make that adaptation. Extremely fortunate. I would never exaggerate. I'm thoroughly honest. That's an agreement to where I come from. And I expected for that to continue. Wouldn't you? I mean, I would never believe that there would be different incorporated norms. So where I come from, everybody's in agreement with that respect. I am used to people checking me out a little bit, maybe psychologically, and I add up. I'm normal. And that's what I'm used to. I'm thoroughly used to relating about interesting substance. And some people check you out a little bit, use a little psychology, and they find out real quick, normal. That's what I've experienced for 42 years. Maybe not quite as high of a level in certain areas, and other areas, highly impressed. It all depends on the experience of who I'm interacting with. But what I've learned from other people how to have these beliefs that are impressed on me. I build on curiosity. I'd catch immediate. Very keen in that respect. Very high level. I understand it is interpersonal. I don't know if it's more complex. I have never done the research in that field of the social sciences at an exceptionally high level. And so I am used to the healthiest context. And as I mentioned, I'd incorporate right back in that incorporated norm, the Chicagoland North Shore, very quickly. I was put exactly in that same setting. I'd adapt to that very quickly. Okay? I expected that to follow me wherever I went in more well-to-do, successful aspects. And so, let's start 2002 now in the next video. I might have enough time on this one. 20 minutes. The instability on this phone, it gets unstable after about 20 minutes. So absolutely, I am fully aware of the healthiest context. That's all I know. I've repeated it so many times, but I'm just clarifying this so you really do get to know me. I'm a very high quality person. I'm used to people checking me out and knowing right off the bat. I don't even have to say anything. I've been extremely fortunate by always experiencing that honesty. I've never been questioned about it. I'm honest. Completely. I don't want to even take a chance of any erroneous information related to, and I'm fully aware of that social science aspect. It creates a conflict. It's you can't hide it from the subconscious. It leaks out. I would never chance that with the background I come from. So all the way from the beginning, if you go all the way back to the very, very beginning, my development is normal, completely. Very high quality substance. Healthiest, success. I've learned it all. I've learned it. I had to learn it and experience it to understand and put those words together. Again, bundling up probably tens of thousands in what I just shared with you in that rant or introduction of myself in that respect. So one last time, 42 years, and in that specific area, it's been for 42 years, but for that specific area, it'd be 35 years. Absolutely fantastic background. A whole developed person in the healthiest context, which I'd incorporate right back in again. Thank you. Thank you for letting me share that, and getting to know me. And I'm ready to get started now. It was either 1990, no, it was either 2001 or 2002. I'd have to refer back to the exact file. I actually believe it was 2001. Well, it could have been 2002. Either way, thank you. Thank you for getting to know me. My name's Richard Moss, and everything I stated, I absolutely promise you, is 100% the truth. I get fully substantiated. There's no reason to repeat anything more on that. In the social science health and a balanced, normal lifestyle that anyone would live, that's the background I come from. I tend to be middle class, head on, and a little upper. That's the norm that will always be true about me as far as my makeup. That will never be changed. That's always true. Regardless of any challenge or anything else that's irrelevant to it, I will always come back to that. Thank you for letting me share my background, which pretty much, archives 42 years of my life. I've mentioned, you got all the past files. I've gone over those videos specifically for a very much relevant purpose. Absolutely, there's absolutely nothing emotional in anything that would be considered anything but the very healthiest context for you to get to know who I am in those 42 years. And if I was ever questioned, I'd fully admit anything, quirks, weaknesses, strengths. There's absolutely nothing to hide, I promise you. I never want to let go of that. It was such a good experience that I maintain that as of today. I don't even want to take a chance questioning that honesty. It will always be there, no matter what. Thank you. I'm ready now to get on now with really, it's been a decade since I've been out here, a little bit over, about 11 years, plus or minus. But it's that 7-8 years in particular. It really was, I'll leave it up to you. I'll just share the experience with you. Thank you for getting to know me and investing that valuable time of yours. I certainly hope I am interesting. That's what I know is the predominant factor on me. You know why. Thanks.